Okay, my AP students, let's get started with some of the books on your list. This is The Tale of Madness of Medicine and the Murder of an American President. This is Destiny of the Republic. This is the story of President Garfield, who is shot by a mad assassin. The fragile national mood is shattered as men behind the scenes work in conflict with each other over the future of the country and the president's health. Some of those men working to save the president include men like Alexander Graham Bell. They're working around the clock to try and create a device that's capable of finding the deadly bullet that is responsible for this condition that the president is currently in. Author Candace Millard meticulously investigates this turning point in history, and she becomes an agent of change. Next up, we have Matthew Brady. In 1862, the Civil War displayed photographs that Americans had never seen before, right? The photograph is a new form of American art, and Matthew Brady is one who perfected it. Alexander Gardner and James Gibson exhibit the famous photos called The Dead at Antietam. And American audiences are shocked. They are blown away by studio owner Matthew Brady's successful portrayal of the gruesome and brutal nature of war. War is not heroic, it's not graceful, and Matthew Brady captures all of the realities of war for his American audience. He's also famous for photographing American presidents, but he became an agent of change in American attitudes about war, beginning with the Civil War, an agent of change in the art world, introducing this medium as a form of art that we recognize and celebrate today. So check this out, Matthew Brady, The Camera is the Eye of History. Again, remember the Guy Ray theme this year, 2021, is women's history. And you might want to check out this agent of change, Pocahontas. You know, Disney portrays Pocahontas as this powerful woman, but this is really an unusual case of a Native woman whose identity is entangled with all of these very powerful men. Some scholars even question whether Pocahontas had so much power or whether she was just a pawn for the patriarchal power structure of her time. Think about exploring the real Pocahontas and the famed men around her, like Powhatan, John Smith, John Rolfe, and King James. We'll find a wealth of detail in this portrait of Pocahontas and see Pocahontas herself, and then maybe explore how America has used her identity for both noble and ignoble purposes. Thomas Nast was known for his cartoon portrayals of political parties like the donkey and the elephant that we recognize as representing major political parties of today. He was known for satirizing and critiquing powerful figures and institutions of the Gilded Age. This book explores the contradictions that Nast was an immigrant who also attacked immigrants who were common minorities. He was a supporter of civil rights who portrayed black men as foolish children. He's also in this collection, this study by author Halloran, and leaving a legacy of American culture and politics. Thomas Nast is an agent of change whose work we see reflected by artists like Herb Bloch and contemporary satirists and artists that reveal the role of satire in speaking truth to power. So this is Thomas Nast, the father of modern political cartoons. Might also think about modern women like Rachel Carson. She's the noted biologist and writer. Her seminal work, Silent Spring, was known for bringing attention to environmental issues that we still discuss today. This is a biography, and again, her most famous work is Silent Spring. Or perhaps you want to explore something connected to our school-wide summer reading, Hidden Figures. Remember, we were watching that film over the summer and studying growth mindset. This book by Margot Shetterly goes so much deeper than the stories we saw in the film. I loved the film. I loved the music. Wonderful stories. But Margot Shetterly's complete work really digs in to the many stories of the women and the mathematicians who are behind some of NASA's greatest work, and that is Hidden Figures. You might also want to investigate contemporary topics that are in the forefront of American conversations today. This is a memoir by Patrice Concours, and it has a foreword by Angela Davis. Concours is one of the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. This is her memoir, When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir. If you are interested in issues of social justice, maybe you want to learn more about Black Lives Matter from one of the co-founders of that movement, check out this memoir. We might also look at other controversial figures like Jane Fonda. She's in the news for her controversial political and environmental viewpoints, and we have this biography on Jane Fonda. AP students, our American history list also includes the heavy hitters in American history writing, Pulitzer Prize winners like David McCullough, this title, 1776. Maybe you're ready to take on this tome, the famous book by Ibram X. Kendi, who is so popular in American culture right now for his critical race theory and his book, How to Be Anti-Racist. This is stamped from the beginning, the definitive history of racist ideas in America. Maybe you want to check out a graphic novel. This is Rebels, These Free and Independent States. Perhaps Dee Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, the story of Native Americans. This was adapted into a wonderful HBO film, but the book is even better. Maybe you want to check out another heavy-hitting historian, Tanya Bolden, and her biography of Frederick Douglass, one of the most famous American figures. And we also have Discovering Black America, the Age of Exploration to the 21st Century. So this is a comprehensive history of the contributions of African American men and women in the history of the United States. In addition to those heavy hitters, we also have some specialty books. So as you look at the list of books for women's history, you'll see some titles like this: Don't Blame the Mirror, Princess Lessons, Teenage Glamour, published in the 1960s, Penny's Guide to Teenage Charm and Popularity, The World Secretarial Book, Heloise's Helpful Kitchen Hints and Housekeeping Hints. Did you ever wonder what was it like to be a woman in the 1950s or the 1960s? Check out some of those books for a historical perspective. Maybe think about making a comparison as to how women have changed their roles in the home, in American culture, in society, in the workplace. Those are a great starting place, and they would serve as wonderful primary sources to help get you started. And I can just imagine a book review on some of those 1960s etiquette primers for young girls. In our next tutorial, I'll be showing you how to access the lists of books and how you'll find those around the library and get those checked out to get started on your book report. See you in a minute.